If we sow oranges, we're not going to get avocados. If we sow negativity, we're not going to get positivity. If we sow average, we're not going to get extraordinary. Whatever we sow, we will get. Everyone wants to be successful until it's time to do what successful people do. I remember early in my career when I just started having a little bit of success, I remember being in what we used to call the watering hole, our break room where the water was. And somebody looked at me and they said, "Matt, you're so lucky." At first, I was a little bit offended by it, but then I realized it was just a lack of understanding of what it takes to win. Because they call it luck, but they're not with you at 5 a.m. in the morning when you're waking up. They call it luck, but they're not with you at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night when you're finishing your appointment. They call it luck, but they weren't there for every single person that said no, every single person that quit on you, every single person that said you couldn't do it. They weren't there for all the doubt. They weren't there for all the worry. They weren't there for all the anxiety. They weren't there for the setbacks. They weren't there for the adversity. They weren't there for the times where you wanted to give up. You were thinking about quitting, but you were so strong that you decided not to. They weren't there for that, which is why they call it luck. But I want you to know that when you win, Danny, when you win, Taylor, when you win, Liz, when you win, John, it is not luck. It is not luck. It is the outcome of you putting in the work to become the man, become the woman that you need to do and be in order to win and succeed. So everyone wants to be successful until it's time to do what successful people do. I want to challenge you, do what successful people do. The only difference between those who are successful and those who are unsuccessful is successful people do successful things every day, while unsuccessful people do successful things every once in a while. See, every one of us on this call, we've had a day of success where we did successful things for an entire day. And at the end of that day, we were so proud of ourselves. We've all had those days. But the only difference between unsuccessful people and successful people is successful people have more successful days than they do unsuccessful days. And unsuccessful people have more unsuccessful days than successful days. So I want to challenge you, do what successful people do every single day, because success never feels successful while you're building it. Success, in fact, feels unsuccessful while you're building it. So I just want to remind you to do the successful things day in and day out. Can we make that commitment? That doesn't mean you're not going to have bad days, because you will. We all have them. That doesn't mean you're not going to have setbacks, because there will be setbacks. It just means you don't give up in the process. Next thing I wrote down, if serving is below you, that's because leadership is above you. The world rises and falls on leadership. Leadership is a selfless act. In fact, to be selfish is to be the opposite of what a leader is, because a leader is never thinking about themselves. A leader is always thinking about their people. I want to challenge you, focus on helping other people win and watch what happens in your life. Watch what happens in your world when you put other people first. Next thing I wrote down was this: the fastest way to scale my income is to scale my skill set. A lot of our income at this point is coming based off our own ability. When you get to maybe Danny's size or maybe, Nate Ireton's size, where you have a little bit bigger of an organization, it's a little bit harder to scale your income. But if the majority of your income right now is dependent on your personal pen, your ability to scale your income by $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year is all going to come down to your skill. Where if you become more skillful, then naturally your income's going to go up. A lot of you guys, you could have made $1,000 last month, but if you 10x your skill set, you'll make $10,000 this month. Some of you made $3,000 last month, and if you 10x your skill set, which you are in control over you, which means that you can control how fast you grow in your own abilities. So if you scale your skill set by 10x, you can go from $3,000 a month last month to $30,000 a month this month. It only becomes a little bit more difficult when you're looking at the $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 plus months. But if you're trying to go from 0 to 30 grand, 0 to 40 grand, that's all based off your personal skill set, which means that we need to be intentional and aggressive about growing our skills as leaders. Can we make that commitment? I'm just excited for all of you guys that take everything that you learned tonight and you apply it right away. And then boom, all of a sudden next month, you have the greatest cash flow month of your life because you are willing to put in the work to work on you. And the last thing that I want you to write down is this: I reap what I sow, but not in the same season. See, there's a sowing season and there's a reaping season. Reaping means the harvest. That is the harvest season. That's the season that every single one of us is looking towards. That's the season every one of us is fighting for. But between the sowing season and the reaping season, there's something called a working season. And we have to remember that he who works his land shall reap abundance. So if we sow the seeds, but we're not willing to put in the work and work our land between the sowing season and the reaping season, we're not going to get to the reaping season, because our seeds will get destroyed by negativity. Our seeds will get destroyed by us not watering it. Our seeds will get choked out by thorn bushes. Our seeds might land on rock and not have the soil that they need. And so as leaders, as farmers of the future that we want, because that's what you are a farmer of the future that you want. We have to make sure that we work our land in between the sowing season and the reaping season. And we also have to remember that if we sow oranges, we're not going to get avocados. If we sow negativity, we're not going to get positivity. If we sow average, we're not going to get extraordinary. Whatever we sow, we will get. How crazy would it be of me to go plant an apple seed in my backyard and then all of a sudden be angry that I have an avocado tree? That'd be pretty ridiculous of me, right? Well, sometimes we all participate in that. We all experience that, where we sow some negativity and then we wonder why we're getting negativity in our life. Let's sow greatness into our life.
Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it.